Spider-Man Brand New Day is officially out and I have seen it. So let's talk about it. Spoiler warning. Wow, what a freaking movie. Spider-Man is the GOAT, man. We finally got our street level movie. I loved the way the movie opened with the Marvel flip celebrating Tom Holland's Spider-Man. It's also very melancholic as we see Peter Parker disappearing due to the spell. It really sets the tone for what this movie is going to be. This is 10 years in the making. I remember seeing Spider-Man appear at the end of the Civil War trailer and losing my shit. It really puts into retrospect how far we've come. And it sets up for what later comes at the end. Holy shit, I can't even believe they went for it. We begin with the montage catching us up for what Spidey has been up to for the past 4 years. Crime is down in New York City thanks to our friendly neighborhood, well, you know. We get some glimpses of some of the foes he's had to face, such as Scorpion, nice seeing that payoff, Tombstone, phenomenal casting. Shame he only got 5 seconds of screen time. What a waste. You blink, you miss it. Along with Boomerang, Tarantula, Ramrod, and The Hand. We already saw them in the trailer. Side note, Sony be showing way too much. Maybe I just gotta stop watching them. The montage was a little choppy for me. It has to do all this catch up because of the massive gap between No Way Home and Brand New Day. Damn, that was really 5 years ago. We see Peter get flowers for Aunt May's grave. That was a nice little detail. And then we get the long awaited Spider-Man swinging scene. I missed you so much, web swinging. We never really got a lot of Tom Holland Spider-Man web swing sequences. The end of Far From Home features one. Pretty good. And then of course at the end of No Way Home, which in context of the movie is great. But on its own, it also sucks ass. He barely gets distance here. I love the POV shots too. We got to see Peter's eyes through the mask, which that was cool that they did that. I never really thought of seeing the person behind the mask's eyes. It really helped with a lot of scenes, especially with the Hulk fight. You feel the vertigo that Spider-Man feels when he's swinging through these skyscrapers. And I'm ready to say it. This might be the best on-screen Spider-Man suit. I love you, Andrew, but this takes the crown for me. A big thing that kind of hinders the TASM 2 suit for me, that it doesn't have the expressive lenses. And I'm also always going to prefer the brighter colors, both of which Tom Holland's suit has. But I do like Andrew's Spider logo a bit better though. A big problem with Tom Holland's previous suits was how infiltrated they were with CGI. And it's not like Tom Holland wouldn't actually wear a costume, cause he did. Only for the Iron Spider suit, he wore a mocap suit. It really just comes down to the different taste Watts had compared to Destin Daniel Cretton. Shout out to you, bro, you killed it. Watts preferred a more clean, simple, minimalistic style for his movies. In a way, the Home trilogy always looked like a commercial. That might be too far actually. There's great shots in those movies too. But take a look at the Spider-Man suits. This perfectly summarizes the difference between the two directors. Watts leaned towards a more tight, clean suit. You can really see the bodily anatomy of Spider-Man. You can see his muscles, and the suit never wrinkled. But that was on purpose. Compared to Cretton, he makes the suit baggier, which allows it to feel more tangible and real, and really just helps overall for the immersion when watching the movie. When Spider-Man is swinging in this movie, it feels real. That's because the suit on its own is a character. You see it flapping through the air, you can hear it flapping. When Spider-Man is just walking around, it wrinkles. I get what Watts was going for, but the problem is that it takes you out of the movie a lot. So many shots where I'm like, that's obviously fake. It just looks off. So for live action, I think the best way to go is to have very little CGI over the suit to help overall with the immersion. That's why a lot of people also say the best live action superhero suits are James Gunn's Superman, Matt Reeves' Batman, and now this one. Why the fuck does this suit look like shit in the video game though? Fortnite did it better. It's because of the suit's imperfections that make it tangible and real. So the web swinging scenes were awesome. We then got to see the tank sequence featuring the Punisher. He was goated in this movie. The fight doesn't last long since the mysterious villain is mind possessing people and doing very villainous acts. We'll get to that later. We then go to what a lot of us thought would have been the post-credit scene, Yelena Belova, the new Black Widow, which she always was Black Widow, right? That's not like a new thing for this movie. At first, this scene felt completely ridiculous. Why the hell does Yelena have her office set in a spa? If I was Spider-Man though, I'm folding. But think about it. Yelena was in a very similar spot that Peter is in right now. She was alone. She had no friends, no family, no personal relationships. They played up for comedy, but there is depth to this scene. Yelena almost sees Peter, or rather Spider-Man, as a version of her past self. Because they could have went with anyone. How many superheroes reside in New York City? And it was always weird to me that we never got to see more crossovers. You would think that they would call each other to ask for some help, or in this situation, a different opinion. Because Yelena keeps it a buck with him. She's now an Avenger, which means she's only gonna deal with Avenger level threats, not this small scale street level stuff. But it's still cool to see the world building in the MCU. And Spider-Man just making a quick meeting to ask someone some questions, which Yelena does answer. She doesn't help him physically, but rather with her words and knowledge. changed. That's why I also really like the inclusion of Bruce Banner in this movie, because Peter has completely isolated his personal life and only focused on crime fighting. His body is sort of mutating. We thought they would lean into Man Spider, but we don't really get that. Instead, he just gets stronger, heightened senses, and organic webbing. This is a very interesting choice to go with. And of course connects to Bruce with the other guy. Comeback of the century, man. I wish they lasted a little longer, but Hulk is back. The last time we saw him, he got his ass whooped by Thanos. And I love how in this fight against Spider-Man, Hulk wins. He clearly had Spidey beat until Spider-Man is able to talk to Bruce and tell him that he's his friend. So what does this mean? Does Hulk remember Peter's Spider-Man? No. The movie shuts this down earlier when Peter introduces himself as Ned Leeds. And I don't even recall Peter and Bruce ever interacting prior to this movie. What most likely happened here was that Hulk is not that dumb. He's still able to be rational and tell when he's in the wrong. Hulk's not a villain. He won't just kill people for the sake of it. Along with the word friend and also seeing the man behind the mask's eyes, Hulk calms down. And that's all of Hulk we get in this movie. After that, Bruce is carried away on a stretcher, and that's it. I'm not sure what the future of the Hulk is in the MCU. Mark Ruffalo was completely absent in the marketing of this movie, probably due to politics. So I'm not sure if he's gonna stick around. Hulk is a staple in the Marvel universe. You need him. Maybe it's time to go in a new direction and have a recast. It kind of felt like a farewell, especially when he just plummets to the ground. So if this is a farewell, he went out strong. I now want to move to Sadie Sink and her role in the movie. Breaking news. Fabrizio, here we go. There we land. Sadie Sink is Jean Grey. Thank mighty Jesus. I had a slight worry to me that they would troll and she would be Screwball or something. Picture perfect casting. She was very evil in this movie. She does a lot of despicable things. For one, she kills people. Don't think Charles Xavier would like that. And then two, oh my God, this scene was incredible. So Spider-Man has to get MJ away to keep her safe since Jean reads the letter and finds out he's Spider-Man. Peter figures out Jean's telepathy has a max distance, so the way to keep MJ safe is to keep her isolated away from people and make sure Jean doesn't get close. So he sends her to the Punisher's hideout spot. Only problem is that Jean regardless is able to get into MJ's head. She might have even got to her when Spider-Man first arrived at her apartment, because I don't even think MJ would have gone with him on her own. But the way this plays out was brilliant. So Spider-Man and MJ land atop the Silver Cup building, and MJ starts to question why Jean Grey would be after her. She then starts to connect dots from her previous encounters with Spider-Man from the Home trilogy, and suspects that she knew him in another life. Peter obviously rejects this, but then MJ slips his mask up under his nose and kisses him. Oh my God, the feels. 5 years waiting for this. They really had me. Peter's literally crying here. And then the words that will haunt us forever. Go ahead, Peter. Touch her. Hold her. You've been wanting to for so long. I'm telling you, man, this version of Jean Grey is dark. Dude, when MJ said that there are no thoughts of you up here, wow, heartbreaker. And this isn't even the worst. Worst is yet to come. Pissed off, Peter grabs the possessed MJ by the throat and demands Jean to get out of her. MJ kicks off Peter and drops towards the ground, reminiscent of when Gwen was plummeting down the clock tower in TASM 2. Peter just barely is able to save her. He then takes her to Punisher's hideout, and we get a good amount of time between MJ and Spider-Man. They just have natural chemistry. Even with the spell still in effect, she's able to get to know him pretty well and see that he's a genuine good guy. I also love the banter between Spider-Man and Punisher. I love the gag with Spidey saving him in Staten Island, and now he owes him a favor, which leads to Spider-Man having to leave off to Damage Control HQ to finish Jean. MJ then tells Punisher to go help him, which again is very touching since she barely has known Spider-Man, but sees he's a good guy. This is very important setup that will come back later. A big conspiracy the movie leads us along is the question of what is VMAX? Now, I probably, like many of you, thought this was going to be the introduction of the symbiote, cause V for Venom, duh. But it ends up being something way better, if that's even possible. VMAX stands for what Sarah Grey, Jean's sister, last saw before her ultimate demise. For her introduction to MCU, I thought Jean Grey was portrayed well. She is a flawed character with a traumatic past, and she makes crucial mistakes in this movie that will definitely be brought up in the X-Men film. So when Peter gets back to the Punisher's hideout after the Hulk fight, he finds MJ reading the letter. Another oh my god moment. I freaking froze when I saw saw that letter in her hands. She admits to Peter that she has absolutely zero clue who he is. So Jean was telling a bit of the truth earlier. Desperate, Peter tells her, I love you. And it doesn't work. She hits him with, I don't love you. I don't even know you. Gut punch. Imagine being in this guy's shoes. 4 years waiting to tell the girl of your dreams you love her, just for her to reject you. And it gets worse. MJ asks for a ride back home since she doesn't have her phone on her. Imagine you get rejected by a girl, and then you have to give her a ride back home. This shows you the difference between Peter Parker and literally every other guy. Most guys are not doing this. Most guys would yell at the girl, call her nasty names, and not give her the ride back home. But Peter's able to put it all to the side and swing her back home. Again, this is showing to MJ that he really is a good guy. She tells him that he should tell Ned and invites him to her apartment to hang out. This was a heartfelt moment, seeing the trio back together again. But it's still sad as Peter has to be in his Spider-Man suit the whole time. He never gets the chance to tell Ned, and when Spider-Man heads off after he finds out through Yelena that Damage Control is the real villain and Metzger was lying, MJ calls Spider-Man Peter right in front of Ned. Ned doesn't get his memory back from this, but he geeks out that Spider-Man's real name is Peter. Really heartfelt moment between Jean and Sarah through a flashback. We discover that they didn't have the best mom, and Jean watches a mother and daughter play and wants to take control to experience what she never had. Until Damage Control takes her sister, and Jean can't do anything about it as Sarah infiltrates her mind to protect her. Back in the present, Jean is held captive by Metzger, and they have a sit-down talk. Jean loses her shit and is able to sort of freeze people at a nearby radius. This includes MJ and Ned. A little detail, if you notice, is that MJ and Ned are sort of crying when this happens to them, which would lead to some speculating that this is how they get their memories restored. But I don't think so. I'm pretty sure everyone that is affected by Jean's powers at this moment also have tears in their eyes. It's just kind of how they work. We then get a sweet fight between Spider-Man and the Hand. I wish there was more lore to the Hand. They really are just nameless goons for the sake of action. But nonetheless, we get Peter's moment of, I'ma do my own thing. I'm both. Peter takes off the inhibitor and fully embraces both sides of who he is. He destroys the Hand with his enhanced powers, including permanent organic webbing. RIP web shooters. I like the change. Tom's been playing the character for a decade now, so we gotta switch things up. After defeating the Hand, Peter tries to talk with Jean, but Jean again infiltrates his mind, and this is where we get another awesome moment. This movie is freaking goated. I really liked how they were able to utilize bringing Aunt May back without obviously undoing her death. Aunt May tells Jean, or technically Peter, who is being possessed by Jean, it's confusing. But basically, Aunt May tells Jean that the world is going to be mean to her because she is different, because she's special. But either way, she is beautiful, and people love her not because of her abilities, but for her. And that she's not alone. I really like that this movie doesn't really follow the cliche superhero 3-act structure. Spider-Man never fights Jean one-on-one. We don't get that typical final battle between the superhero and the supervillain. And I love that. With so many superhero movies, it gets repetitive when every movie is basically the exact same, just with a different skin. Then out of nowhere, Punisher takes a shot to take out Jean, and Peter gets in front of her to take the bullet for her. That's my fucking Spider-Man. Dude, I actually thought he died. The way he just falls, very reminiscent of when Aunt May died. And so it was in this moment where I thought, that's why he's not in Doomsday, cause he's dead. Punisher rushes Spider-Man to the hospital. I love the little detail where he stayed the whole night waiting for him to wake up. It's revealed that Jean was able to use her powers and keep him alive. I can't believe they really went for it. Spider-Man is one of those characters that I don't know how you would kill him off, because for me personally, you almost kind of can't. Spider-Man sacrificing himself for somebody is kind of obvious. Of course he would do that. In contrast, a character like Tony Stark, who is egotistical and only cares about himself, that's more interesting storytelling to have that guy be the one to sacrifice himself. It's kind of like imagining if Steve snapped instead of Tony and died. I don't think it would have hit as hard, because of course Steve would snap. It wouldn't be shocking. Bro jumped on top of a grenade before even having the serum. So having Tony snap, especially when he now has a daughter, it's the perfect character arc. Full circle. But I give him credit. I actually thought Spider-Man died and was about to tear up. So Peter is released from the hospital, and outside is a massive parade for Spider-Man. On some Spider-Man 3 vibes. Underrated movie. And Punisher puts on the Spider-Man mask and dances for the crowd through the window. Love it. Peter realizes that he is not alone, and he's got the whole city watching his back. Jean Grey is seen on a bus leaving the city, which I would imagine she will stop at Westchester and meet Charles Xavier. She probably doesn't know who he is, but will. So that's the setup for the X-Men movie. Jean and Charles finding more mutants like themselves and taking them in to create the X-Men. And then we get one of the best endings in any movie ever. Peter goes to the donut shop to get flowers for Aunt May. Sitting at the table is Ned. Ned. Peter goes up to him and fully introduces himself with his actual name. Peter goes for a handshake, and through some sort of muscle memory, they reenact their handshake. What the fuck? So does Ned remember? I see so many people having different interpretations of this. I've seen some people say that no, Ned doesn't remember, but says Peter enthusiastically because keep in mind, MJ told him earlier that Spider-Man's real name is Peter. But I don't think this is correct. For one, Peter is a common name. So unless Ned is dumb as fuck, why would he think this Peter is Spider-Man? Another interpretation I saw was that when Jean froze everybody with her powers, she was able to break the spell for MJ and Ned, and that's why they were in tears. Because it was their memories of their best friend and boyfriend flashing before their eyes. But like I explained earlier, I don't think this is the right call. This would make Jean incredibly OP. Not only would she have revived Spider-Man, but she's also able to restore the memories of his best friend and girlfriend. I'm sorry to say it, and it might sound fucked up, but that's way too good of a happy ending for Peter Parker. So no, I don't think Jean restored their memories. And I'm still on the record that breaking the spell would be the absolute worst thing to do. What I think happened is that the handshake itself was able to restore Ned's memory. Remember, when Peter initially walked up to him, Ned called him Flower Guy because earlier in the movie, Ned went to his party with flowers. If Ned had his memories restored, Ned would have immediately recognized him. Also, Peter introduces him with his name. If just hearing his name would break the spell, then again, Ned would have had his memories restored. But that's not enough. It's not until they give each other a handshake, and that's what breaks the spell. How does Ned know the handshake? They could lean into his sorcery powers that they introduce in No Way Home. Or it's some sort of muscle memory that even magic can't erase. So when Ned says Peter, it's him saying it in a way that anyone would for someone that you really care about that you haven't seen in so long. And then Peter in the last shot, he's happy he's got his best friend back. So Ned has his memory restored 1000%. You're not changing my mind. Now on to MJ. She reads the letter. Peter tells her he loves her, and it's not enough. I think what they're doing is satisfying both sides. If you're like me, you don't want the spell undone, as I think it would diminish No Way Home on rewatch. But there are other people that want them all back together again. So for Ned, you satisfy that crowd. And for MJ, you satisfy my crowd. I don't think MJ will ever get her memory back. They will have to rebuild their relationship like they did before as friends first and then to lovers. Or maybe not. MJ tells Peter that she's not the same girl that she's talking about in the letter. Think about it. MJ at this point is a grown-ass woman. She's not a kid anymore. They're not teenagers anymore in high school. They might never be a couple again because of where they are in their lives. Or maybe it's true love. The MJ ending is definitely open-ended. And I'm curious to see where they go with it in Spider-Man 5 and so on. A big lesson Peter learns in this movie is to move on. He shouldn't just be hung up on one girl and one best friend. Earlier in the movie in his apartment, a blonde woman tries to hit on Peter, but he fully rejects her as he's still loyal to a girl that has no memory he even exists. Peter's wrong here. The lesson to take after Brand New Day is to be open to things, to people. You shouldn't just judge people by their cover. Jean Grey, a mutant, which I don't know why they never name drop that word, is the best case example for this. Peter should make new friends and not just have one in Ned Leeds. He should be on the dating market, go on dates, meet new people, see where it goes. That's the whole point of the movie. I love the Brand New Day, guys. I don't like to rank the movies early upon release. I want to give it a rewatch, but this might be a top 5 Spider-Man movie. There's too many to choose from. I do still lean towards No Way Home being my favorite Tom Holland movie, but I feel confident in saying Brand New Day is definitely second. As for the whole ranking of my favorite Spider-Man movies, coming soon. Oh, and shout out to the awesome soundtrack for the movie. Tame Impala, Bad Bunny. The end credits are the best end credits to any movie ever. Come on, come on, come on.
Aware of, and without spoiling anything, who is your favorite or who are you most excited to see?
You know what? Jean. I like Jean.
Okay.
She's the villain, but like